Hey YouTube, Scott here. Talking about the movie Justice League. I saw it a couple days ago now. Full disclosure, I haven't been a fan of most of the DCU up to this point. I love Wonder Woman just like most people, but I hate Man of Steel, strongly dislike Batman v Superman. I kind of enjoyed Suicide Squad a bit more. That one's definitely a really bad movie, but like I do enjoy it and it's definitely entertaining. Justice League definitely beats all those besides Wonder Woman. It would be now second in the ranking for the DCU. But like that's not saying a whole lot because of how I feel about the other besides Wonder Woman. This movie is definitely what I would call a mixed bag. It's got some good things in it, definitely some good things. It's an improvement on like most other DCU, but there's definitely a lot of issues still. To me, it equals out and averages out to a good movie. I can recommend this movie just barely though. It's good. It gets by on really cool superhero fun. Like if this wasn't a superhero movie, but it had like similar problems, it wouldn't be as it wouldn't be as I wouldn't be as positive. But it's fun as it is because it's a superhero movie and does have some inherent fun and coolness to it. The heroes are basically all really good. I'm gonna try to keep it broken up on positives and negatives, so I'll get to the negatives later. But yeah, one of the heroes is definitely a negative for me. I'll get to that, but most of the heroes are really good. I really enjoy the heroes' chemistry as a team for most of the movie. That's a major part of what works in this movie is the heroes. It definitely makes you want to see the team more. I would like Justice League 2, and I also just want to see more of these characters individually. Slight negative, I'll just sneak in here. I mean, I definitely think Marvel did a good thing about having solo movies before the big team up. I think that's needed, and I think this reaffirms that we absolutely needed. Well, I guess technically we didn't need, but we really should have gotten solo movies for the Flash, Cyborg, and Aquaman first. That just makes you care about them more when they're in a team up movie, but not by themselves. Then you're more invested in them. It, especially because this movie doesn't give them enough of an introduction in this movie. The movie's too short, and they don't really get much of an introduction. Batman, I think in this movie is an improvement on BVS. He's pretty good. I'm actually going to talk about him a little bit in my negatives too, but he's not the main person I'm going to talk about in there. He's good. Wonder Woman I think is great. I think most people loved her in her solo movie, and I love her, and she's fantastic. She's great in the movie. She gets a lot of it. It was great seeing her. Gal Gadot's awesome as Wonder Woman. Love her. You got three essentially new characters. I mean, they had cameos in BVS, but this is the first time really seeing them. The Flash, Cyborg, and Aquaman. I love the Flash. Like, besides Woman, he's the standout of the movie. He's definitely like the standout of the new people. Hilarious. I love Ezra Miller as Barry Allen as his character. Not everything he says works on hilarious. He gets a lot of the humor in this movie. Other people do too, but there's a lot of humor in this movie. Some it works, some it doesn't. And that goes for the Flash's humor too. Some it doesn't work, but a lot of it does. I would say most of his does. And I just found him to be really fun. I really like the Flash as a character. Ray Fisher as Cyborg, who I thought was really good too. We need more of an introduction to these characters. That goes for all three of the new ones, but they are good despite that. Cyborg was good. I like his story. He actually has some more drama to him, which we need to see more of, but it was cool. It was there. I liked him. And then Jason Momoa is Aquaman. He's badass and he's really cool. I'm not really sure about the character beyond that, but I'm really interested in the world of Atlantis and really want to see more of it. I can't wait to see more of it. At least we know we're getting his movie for sure. That's already produced, so yay. And yeah, like I said, this movie's got a lot of attempts at humor, which is them being reactionary to people saying that BVS is too dark and stuff. I'd say about half or so the humor overall works, and then the other half or so doesn't work. The stuff that does work, it helps make the movie more fun. It's probably about the end of the positives though. This movie has a pretty good team that you really like and are rooting for, and you like most of the characters, and it gets by on being a fun movie. It's fluffy fun. There's not really much to this movie. It's probably the lightest of the DCU movies. And now talk more about the bad stuff, which there's quite a bit. The story in the movie is just kind of thin and simple. There's really not much to the story. Also being kind of convoluted and kind of nonsensical, but it's weird, but it's also very simple. There are some plot holes and like the story's just kind of messy and definitely got some issues with it. Some of the dialogue is weird. Just not good. A lot of it's fine, but then some of it's not good. I've read some people online comparing the dialogue in one scene to Attack the Clones, episode 2. That kind of bad. The movie is rushed. It's too short. Apparently the WB mandated that had to be like no longer than 2 hours, which it is. It's right there. And it needed to be more. Maybe not. It didn't really need to be quite as long as BVS. That was probably them being reactionary to people saying that BVS was too long. But this movie definitely needed to be longer than it was. Maybe like it needed to be like probably 2.5 hours or so. We needed more of an introduction to the new characters and more time for a character that returns. I won't give any specifics about how he does, but we know he is in some of the marketing. You know, Superman is in this movie. Just so you got to work that in there. The movie's too rushed. It definitely needed more, and you can tell that a lot of it's missing. And yeah, I said earlier, almost all the team is good, and I have one major exception, which you can probably tell because I didn't talk about him in the first part. But Superman. If you're just a bigger fan of Superman, maybe you like him in this movie, but I didn't. I've never really been a big fan of Superman, at least in this iteration. I don't like him. I find him boring and like bland, and there's not really much to him. And in general, in all of his appearances so far, he's overpowered and like he doesn't struggle at all, and very much so in this movie. He's too powerful and it's boring to be a character in like an action movie like this. If they're too strong and too overpowered, it's boring, and that's what Superman is to me. He's boring, and the way he's used in this movie is especially boring. I'm not going to be specific, but the way that he's in this movie kind of detracts from the other characters actually. Seriously, like, I was thinking, like, I wish he stayed dead. Like, I really do. I don't really care if he's in the Justice League, and I wish that he stayed dead from BVS. I thought the whole him dying in BVS thing was stupid because we knew he was going to be Justice League. I mean, at least do it good, and the way that he was in this movie, like, yeah, I wish he stayed dead. Batman, I definitely wish was in the movie. Batman's a good character in this movie. I like Batman's role in the movie. I just think, you can tell Ben Affleck doesn't want to be in the movie. I mean, heck, there's even some kind of, like, jokes about like him not wanting to do this anymore, and like being too old for this, and I think you can just kind of tell in his performance a bit. He's not bad most of the time, but I feel like you can tell he doesn't want to do it much anymore, and it's very clear in like interviews and stuff he's saying outside the movie. And I do think he was a good Batman, especially in BVS, but he's good in this. But I think if he doesn't want to do it, then don't stop complaining about it and just don't do it. It's going to be a big hindrance and suck for this universe, but I mean, it would be good if in the long run, if we can replace him with an actor that actually wants to do this. And now onto the villain. The villain in this movie is called Steppenwolf. He's entirely CGI when, like, he didn't need to be. I think they probably would have needed to use some CGI to enhance him, but, like, they didn't use any kind of performance at all. It should have at least been partially practical, at least, and had some performance there. There's just, like, nothing to his character. He's just very generic and boring. The entire last act of the movie is very CGI heavy. It kind of feels like a cartoon, and I thought while watching it kind of feels like an action video game. Kind of thought of Gears of War with some of the monsters. You have a bunch of like random minions that you fight on their way to this thing, and then they have the big boss battle at the end of the level. It's like a level in a crazy action video game, and it feels very impersonal and boring, and it's very cartoony. And I don't know, I think some people will be fine with that and like that. I think that might just be down to preference, but I prefer my superhero movies and action to be more smaller scale, more personal and emotional and grounded. All things that all the action in this movie wasn't. I mean, just for some examples off the top of my head, and these are all Marvel movies, but they are good, and they fit the qualifications I was just talking about. Ant-Man, Civil War, surprisingly actually, and Spider-Man: Homecoming. Those were all like kind of smaller scale, and they definitely felt personal, and there was emotion to the action. Can't say that about this movie at all. This movie is mindless action it's very video gamey, which is not necessarily a bad thing. It's definitely fun. I think that's basically what this movie is. It's fun. It's a fun movie with some good humor in there. Some cool characters. I just really don't like the way Superman was used in this movie, but everybody else is good. It's a fun time. You're gonna get a fun time out of it, but just not much more. I think it could have been a lot more than that. If they gave more time in the movie to give better introduction to the new characters, we would have at least cared a lot more about them as people, which we don't really get to very much because their introduction is so rushed. I do think that's an improvement on the other DCU movies besides Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman is much greater. I would say overall this movie works out to be a B- to me. I think this movie being a B-. It's fresh, but like on the border. I'd recommend this movie, but not a lot. Okay, so that's my thoughts on Justice League. I think I might do a spoiler video soon, but that's my thoughts on non-spoilery. Click like if you like this video, subscribe for more videos, and thanks for watching. Bye-bye.